from Hollywood and the four corners of the world. You Ask For It. Starring Rich Little. Here's the star of You Ask For It, Rich Little.
Thank you. Hey, what a good group. Welcome to the only show on television that goes anywhere in the world because you asked for it. Mrs. Stephen Happy of Tacoma, Washington made a request that resulted in our flying our Tony Thomas to Spain. Bullfighting is always dangerous, and it's even more unbelievable when performed by a 14-year-old boy. Here because you asked for it.
Hi, Rich. I'm here at the Plaza de Toros de Valencia, where young Luis Miguel Campano, known to his friends as Miguelito, has gotten rave reviews from the appreciative crowds who've gathered here to watch him do battle with fierce bulls that weigh up to 900 pounds. Many knowledgeable critics say he has the skill, dedication, and bravery to make it to the top.
Miguelito, ¿por qué tú existes matador?
Bueno, yo soy matador porque me gusta, porque es lo que sé hacer y porque no sé hacer otra cosa más.
The tension builds as the matadors parade into the arena. Though the costumes are all very colorful, only the matadors are allowed to wear the ones with the gold trimming.
Miguelito, age 14, launched his career at the age of 12 and has killed 82 bulls without being gored. He inherited his talent from his father, who was a banderillero, and although he's still considered an apprentice, his skill is remarkable in one so young.
At the beginning of the fight, or corrida, the matador uses a large cape to start the process of tiring the bull out. Much to my surprise, young Miguelito dedicated the bull to me. After another magnificent performance, Miguelito received the adulation of his adoring fans. Growing up in Madrid with his 6 brothers and 5 sisters, Miguelito idolized all matadors, from Manolete to El Cordobes.
If Miguelito were a typical 14-year-old, he'd be playing second base on his Little League team. But instead, he tests his courage in a way that Hemingway described as grace under pressure. We've learned something about this courage today because Mrs. Stephen Happy
I just cannot say enough for the courage of that young man. And that's just one type of person that you'll be seeing all year on You Asked For It. You know, everybody admires the desire and the determination of a McEnroe and a Borg. Well, this letter from Chris Salerni asks us to show you one of the most inspirational tennis players you'll ever meet. Here's our Danny Fulke with the story.
20-year-old Roger Crawford, a communications major at Loyola Marymount University, bicycles to class. Roger's a sophomore, one of the most popular students on campus. But Roger was born severely handicapped, with one finger on his right hand, two fingers on his left. He has only 3 toes on his right foot, and a wooden leg has replaced an underdeveloped left limb. Yet Roger is among the top 8 players on Loyola's tennis team. He is the first athlete on record classified as severely handicapped to compete in an intercollegiate sport. I'm Danny Fulke, and I'm here at Loyola with Roger Crawford because you asked for it. Are there any inconveniences as far as playing tennis?
Well, I think the first inconvenience that I had was how to hold my tennis racket. So I play with this racket right here, and I slip my right hand in between the 2 parallel bars, and I pin the grip against my right arm with my left hand, such as that. If you're born like this and you have to learn to do things this way, it's not really that difficult at all. If all of a sudden I had 10 fingers and a regular leg, in essence, I would be handicapped all over again because I've adjusted the way I am. I've learned how to do the things that I have with the hands that I do have. Handicap, I think, has a connotation of being unable to do something or helpless, and I really don't look at myself like that at all. Thank you, Danny, very much.
Congratulations, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You know, you can learn a lot more than just tennis from Roger Crawford. I'm Danny Fulke, reporting from Los Angeles, California, because Chris Salerni of Laguna Beach, California, you asked for it.
A special feature of the new You Asked For It, the granddaddy of all reality shows, is this moment when we bring you a classic selection from the past. Now, here is Jack Smith, host of the original show, who is with us tonight and every night. Here's Jack.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Rich, this is not only unusual, it's hair-raisingly dangerous. Now, the name of the act was Elizabeth and Collins, and we filmed them in England in 1956. They were a husband and wife team, and they did knife-throwing tricks that no one had ever done before. Now, how would you like to have knives, sharp ones, thrown at you by someone balancing on one foot on a wire? Elizabeth and Collins.
There's a target for you, one well worth missing. Now the knives, one by one, circling her head. Steel points, needle sharp, and nerves of steel. Now up to the spinning wheel for an incredible demonstration of split-second timing and courage. Collins sets up the slack wire. He was an expert wire artist and knife thrower before he thought of combining the two. 6 years of practice, 5 hours a day before he was ready for a revolving human target. And the wheel spins. The first night, one miss and that's all. One foot on the wire now, fighting for balance. And still the knives come. Slack wire, spinning target, and a ring of steel. the only act in the world that combines slack wire with a rotating human target. Knives, Elizabeth and Collins.
Now just think, if they do that act only once a day, Elizabeth goes through almost 5,000 near misses a year. But Collins can always say, you asked for it.
Now, believe it or not, this is a 1,000-year-old egg. It's a delicacy in China. Virginia Lee of Hong Kong didn't ask for a 1,000-year-old egg, but she did ask us to show a village where life in China is as it was 1,000 years ago. Our Desiree Goyette has found that village.
In the heart of Kowloon, by Hong Kong Harbor, is the Sung Dynasty Village. The Sung Dynasty in China dated from the 10th to the 13th centuries. And this is what a Sung Dynasty village looked like. The magnificent wax museum here displays the emperors of the Sung Dynasty. People in the village perform many of the century-old customs, such as fortune-telling, which started 1,000 years ago during the Sung Dynasty. Chinese art has come down through the centuries with unique beauty. Chinese ladies would often write secret notes to their lovers on fans. So the more beautiful the fan, the more beautiful the response. For centuries, the Chinese craftsmen have worked with their hands. They even create grasshoppers out of leaves. Another craftsman practices the ancient art of creating Peking noodles. Chinese acrobatics originally were performed just for the emperors, but over the centuries, acrobatics became part of public entertainment. Here, each day at the village, a traditional wedding of 1,000 years ago is recreated. The bridegroom tries to convince the bride to come out of her sedan chair. But she must not appear to be too anxious. So the matchmaker makes it all happen. Even 1,000 years ago, during the Sung Dynasty, men performed at court with their monkeys. And so, Sung Dynasty Village dramatically portrays the many centuries of Chinese culture, from emperors to fortune tellers. So that's Sung Dynasty Village, because Virginia Lee, you asked for it.
Whales are an endangered species, but when a man gets into a tank with a killer whale, it's the man who's in danger. Yet trainer Bruce Stevens and his staff at SeaWorld in San Diego, California, play with killer whales every day. We sent our Desiree Goyette to join the fun because Frank Luckenbach of Miami, Florida, you asked for it.
here at SeaWorld Shamu Stadium, and behind me are Bud and Joanne, two talented trainers who have the courage to coax killer whales into performing between 30 and 40 different behaviors.
Well, we can reward or reinforce our killer whales in a variety of different ways. We can feed them for a behavior. We can rub them down because they seem to enjoy the tactile reinforcement. They have very sensitive skin. We can also rub them on the tongue. For some reason, their tongue is very, very sensitive, and they enjoy that also.
We have about 40 or 50 different hand signals that we give all our killer whales. Each signal means to do a different behavior. We also have about 6 or 7 underwater tones, which each mean a different behavior also. Along with that, we have 2 ways of saying yes to the killer whale. One way is to blow a whistle when they're out of the water, or we can push an underwater button, which they can hear when they're below. We initially train a killer whale to jump at a certain position. We slap a target on the water. That tells the animal exactly where to jump. In the ballet, we slap our hand on the water, telling them that's where we want them to jump also. It eliminates the target and makes the show look much cleaner.
These whales are 7 years old, and with Shamu at 2 tons and Can-Do at about 1.5 tons, they're still growing. And when they're fully grown, they'll be about 30 feet long, weighing in at 8 tons. The whales are really friendly. They're actually huggable. And they have a sense of humor, too. Or maybe that's Bud's idea of fun. Well, whichever it is, the crowd enjoys it. Bud even let me call a couple of behaviors. It takes from 1 to 2 years to teach a whale enough behaviors to take a bow in a public performance. And by the way, killer whales aren't really whales. They're members of the dolphin family. Whales are very playful animals by nature, but they're not exactly tame, and they've been trained to respond only to the cues of their trainers. This whale ballet is an example of the love and trust they have for one another. Well, Rich, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of love, and about 200 pounds of fish a day.
We are going to show you one of the strangest survival stories in the world. In Kenya, East Africa, the Maasai tribe has a unique way of life based entirely upon cattle. Unlike other African tribes, the Maasai are not farmers. Their survival depends entirely upon their vast herds. For a look at breakfast at Maasai country, we flew our Janet Langhart to the heart of Africa, because Jennifer Helms of Kansas City, Missouri, you asked for it.
day begins slowly here in Chief Niguitu's Manada. One by one, the villagers emerge from their huts to drive out the cattle and to start their early morning chores. They are Maasai, a people of herdsmen and warriors who came to the Loita plains of Kenya when grazing for their cattle grew scarce in the northern mountains. According to ancient legend, God has entrusted the earth's cattle to the Maasai because they are the best and the strongest of people. They believe only the Maasai have the right to breed cattle. All others must live off the fruits of the land. Traditionally, the Maasai was forbidden under pain of death to cultivate the earth. And even today, they live almost exclusively on a diet of meat, milk, and blood. Milk is the Maasai's main source of nourishment, but when it's scarce, a cow is rounded up and gently persuaded to volunteer its blood. A quick and painless stab to the jugular vein supplies 2 pints of blood and breakfast for the women and children. The blood is stirred to keep it from coagulating when heated. The clot that forms is considered a delicacy to be shared with the children. Inside the small hut, the blood is mixed with milk and sugar over a small fire before it's ready to drink. To the Maasai, the blood is life, the life of their herds passing into their bodies and giving them strength. As difficult as it is for us to imagine sitting down to a breakfast of blood and milk, to the Maasai, blood is a valuable food source and a means of survival during times when the herd is depleted. For those of us privileged to watch this unique ritual, the experience has been a celebration of man's ability to adjust to his environment. I'm Janet Langhart with the Maasai in Kenya, Africa, and I'm here because you asked for it.
You know, for some people, that may be a hard act to swallow, but remember this. For those people, that diet is a matter of life and death, and they're doing pretty well at it, too. The Maasai are among the tallest and strongest people of Africa, and you've seen them because you asked for it. Well, good night, folks, and remember,